Hey, what's going on, you guys? My name is the Raptor, and welcome back to Who'd Win and Why. And this time we've got Meta Knight from Nintendo's Kirby going up against Zero from Capcom's Mega Man. Both mysterious, both warriors, both badass to the max, but only one can survive a duel to the death. And today it's time for me to decide who I think would win and who would meet their honorable end. So, who'd win and why? Let's find out! Alright, so first we're going to talk about Meta Knight. Standing only 8 inches tall and captain of the battleship Halberd, Meta Knight is one of the infamous Star Warriors who did battle with the evil entity Nightmare and his army of minions. Thankfully, the heroes defeated Nightmare and temporarily ended his reign of terror, but at a great cost. Many a fallen hero was the result of the victory, but a number of the warriors survived and presumably went their separate ways. One of these heroes was Meta Knight, who ended up on the star-shaped planet known as Popstar, where he remained for thousands of years. And before you ask, yes, this lifespan is normal for Meta Knight's species. Hell, they don't even reach maturity until a couple hundred years after they're born. Regardless, another hero would eventually find himself on Popstar as well, the lovable pink puffball known as Kirby, who was destined to continue the ongoing fight against the forces of evil. Now, Meta Knight is a very mysterious character, often keeping his thoughts to himself, so not many people know why his relationship with Kirby is so wishy-washy, to put it simply. But at his best, Meta Knight is a dedicated mentor to Kirby who is just as skilled and just as hardcore as ever, and he's got all the tools and abilities to prove why. With his wings, Meta Knight can fly incredibly fast, so fast to the point where he can move from one galaxy to the next in mere moments, and that's just a casual fly. His vast experience as a warrior allows him to perform many different ground and aerial moves shown across the games, and he can always be seen equipped with his greatest weapon, Galaxia. Forged by the fire god Photron, Galaxia is a powerful golden blade that can release waves of energy and has a bunch of other properties, including absorbing the energy of defeated enemies, electricity generation, and tornado summoning. In fact, Meta Knight himself possesses numerous elemental attacks in regards to electricity, air, water, ice, and fire, and with his dimensional cape, he can warp the fabric of space to teleport across the battlefield. He's also got limited healing powers and can clone himself as many as 4 times. He's fought and beaten many a foe in his lifetime, including Kirby, and while Meta Knight may not have the exact same power as him, he's still matched him in combat more than enough times to prove that he can easily keep up. And just for reference, Kirby has easily broken apart planets before, which can take anywhere from 50 to 65 sextillion tons of TNT, and his feats extend to levels beyond that as well. And they're definitely pretty on par when it comes to durability, as they both withstood getting sucked into a huge black hole without getting crushed, and without a single crack appearing in Meta Knight's armor. So the dude's definitely tough enough to keep on fighting with the best of them. Meta Knight is highly skilled, experienced, and he possesses a high sense of honor during combat. However, this can sometimes lead to him willingly putting himself in a worse situation in order to create a fair fight. This is most prominently shown during duels with Kirby, where he'll often hand Kirby a blade and even take off his dimensional cape to make their arsenals more balanced. But aside from that, Meta Knight is strong, quick, and one damn tough swordsman who will never back down from a fight. He may be small, but he's got the weapons, armor, and skills to prove that he's one star warrior that you do not want to mess with. Alright, so now it's time to move over to Zero. After being bested time and time again by Dr. Light and Mega Man no matter how many inventions he made, Dr. Wily finally had enough of it all and assembled the century's greatest robot, aka Zero, to achieve the victory he longed for. Zero was incredibly violent and powerful as planned, but unfortunately just one glitch in his programming made him practically uncontrollable, and Wily had no choice but to shut him down and keep him hidden, unbeknownst to Wily that a virus made its way into Zero's stasis pod. Zero would be discovered 100 years later, but he was still acting like a lunatic even after all that time, and completely wrecked all the Reploids that came his way except for the leader of the Maverick Hunters known as Commander Sigma. Sigma stopped Zero, and just so happened to pick up the virus Zero brought with him, which messed up Sigma's programming. The world had suddenly lost its best protector, as Sigma began his terrible crusade to eliminate basically anyone that wasn't a robot. But thankfully, the transference of the virus actually turned Zero into a civilized machine, and he joined the Maverick Hunters alongside the 22nd century's Mega Man, MegamanX, to save the world from a dreadful evil robot takeover. Like Mega Man X, Zero was built to surpass the original Mega Man in every manner, and he's pretty comparable to X in terms of strength and speed. X has some incredible feats of power, like channeling enough energy to take out the entire country of Japan and defeating both Sigma and the General, who are tough enough to withstand the power of planet-destroying lasers. Both X and Zero have also dodged lasers themselves and kept up with faster-than-light Reploids, and while Zero's auto-repairing might not be quite as ridiculous as X's, he's still tough enough to survive being in the middle of an enormous exploding city in space, equaling roughly 100 teratons of TNT. But Zero's greatest assets are his various weapons and abilities, his two most prominent weapons being his Z-Buster, basically his own personal Mega Buster, and his Z-Saber, an energy blade that can cut through all kinds of metals and has electric, pyrokinetic, and cryokinetic properties. He can also use Twin Dream to create a clone of himself, Ragoha to summon energy beams from the sky, and Darkhold to completely freeze time for a brief period. He's got even more close range and long range tech thanks to his copying of his enemies' attacks, but if he really needs to kick things up a notch, he's got a number of different super forms that enhance certain abilities. The two most prominent forms being his Black Zero form and his Absolute Zero form. Black Zero multiplies his speed by 4 and his power by 2, though in return it halves his durability despite gaining a resistance to fire. Absolute Zero increases his power and speed even further, and he gains claws, wings, and a resistance to water, though he sacrifices a ton of his arsenal, including his Z-Saber. So they're not always ideal, but they can be helpful in case he needs to quickly overpower a tough opponent. With all of his abilities and his 300 years of kicking Maverick ass, Zero doesn't possess any obvious weaknesses. It is worth noting though that while powerful, Zero clearly wasn't built to be able to fight forever, as he can lose stamina if he pushes himself too hard. Not to mention that his self-repair functions can be overtaxed if faced with a powerful enough force. But Zero has shown that he can still take one hell of a beating and give back even more, going the distance to save the world. He may not be the perfect super fighting robot, but he's more than proven that he deserves the title of Dr. Wily's final greatest creation. Alright, so now that I've gone over both of these characters, it's finally time for me to say who I think would win this battle. And despite possessing extremely different origins and some pretty different abilities, both Meta Knight and Zero are well-experienced swordsmen with a lot of power and tenacity, and their respective arsenals make them just as unpredictable as they are dedicated to their roles, making them two of the best warriors for nearly any situation. However, after looking further into the limits of their powers and unique traits, I do personally believe that Meta Knight would be the winner of this fight. And if you think that Zero would win, that's great, that's totally fine, let me know why down in the comments below, but first here's my reasoning for why I think Meta Knight would win more often than not. Both Meta Knight and Zero obviously possess incredible feats and abilities, but Zero unfortunately comes up short in a few too many areas. Scaling Zero to Mega Man X does imply that he could destroy planets, or at least defeat opponents with planetary level durability. But not only has Meta Knight consistently stood up to characters like Kirby who can easily dish out planet busting attacks and then some, getting sucked into Maglador's black hole means Meta Knight withstood nearly 100 octillion tons of TNT at bare minimum. That's well over 1.3 million times the force needed to break planets, so Meta Knight could easily stand up to Zero's assaults. On the flip side, Meta Knight is pretty well established to be comparable to Kirby in raw strength, while the best reliable durability feat Zero has is surviving that explosion worth around 100 trillion tons of TNT. Even if we assume that his durability is on par with his hypothetical power output, Meta Knight still has enough oomph to take him out, and it's hard to believe that Zero's auto-repair systems would be able to perfectly keep up, especially when you factor in the speed gap. While Meta Knight's top speed is unknown, we know that he can easily move across the diameter of a galaxy in a matter of seconds. That puts his speed at over 360 million times the speed of light, and that's a massive lowball when compared to his maximum. There's more than enough evidence to suggest that Zero can move many times light speed as well, but he's still leagues below what Meta Knight can do even on Meta Knight's laziest day, and that power and speed combined doesn't allow Zero to get too many good hits in, assuming he could even get past Meta Knight's crazy durability at all. But while Meta Knight may be superior in regards to general stats, Zero's arsenal has some very powerful and unpredictable tricks, making this fight significantly closer than it may initially seem. For one thing, the fact that Zero can fully freeze time could theoretically be a hard counter for Meta Knight's remarkable speed, and his Twin Dream, Ragoha, Z-Buster, Elemental Z-Saber, and more could definitely pack a real punch. The problem though is that none of them can substantially make up for Meta Knight's inherent physical advantages, which is really the difference between a character's versatility being helpful or just being tedious for the opponent. Even the time stop isn't a reliable trump card as it doesn't last forever, and if we're being real, it's honestly more likely Meta Knight's speed and power wouldn't give Zero a good opportunity to use it. Zero's super forms, while allowing resistance to a few of Meta Knight's attacks, also share the same problem. They improve certain aspects but not to high enough degrees. None of his forms give him the strength or the speed to overcome Meta Knight's speed and durability, and some of them even lessen other attributes like his overall durability and his versatility. And those trade-offs just aren't worth it for him at all in this fight. We haven't even taken into account Meta Knight's own special abilities and skills, like all his elemental attacks, his cloning, his teleportation, and his surprisingly versatile sword, Galaxia. And while neither of these combatants have shown a level of fighting ability or intelligence that really outshines the other, as they've each battled a huge variety of opponents, Zero has only been active for 300 years, as opposed to Meta Knight, who survived throughout multiple millennia and then some. His much greater level of combat experience would certainly allow him to work around Zero's abilities if Zero did ever get an upper hand. Overall, both of these characters are extremely well-rounded and just totally badass, but Meta Knight is better suited to come out on top in this kind of fight. Zero really doesn't have much that could reliably stop Meta Knight or slow him down for long, whereas Meta Knight has what he needs to end the fight as quickly as possible. Zero may have a good number of special abilities, but I feel that Meta Knight has the power, the speed, the toughness, and the experience to claim victory in the end. So, in my opinion, the winner is Meta Knight. So guys, thank you all so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. If you enjoyed this video, please give this video a huge like. I always appreciate the likes. Leave your comments down in the comments below. Subscribe if you could too, that would be amazing. But no matter what you guys do, thank you all so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. And next time on Who, When, and Why, we've got Man Bat going up against Morbius. See you all then.